Hello, my friends, and welcome to a brand new Realm News. This is my most unorthodox show yet to date in the year and a half I've been doing Realm News. But we live in unorthodox times. First, let me tell you who I am. I am your host, the Dark Lord. The one who puts the real in Realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I will be blunt with you all. This episode is political. It is over Minecraft's Uncensored Library, and I talk about regimes, and I talk about the Trump regime as well. So, if you are a fan of Trump, or if you are MAGA, you may not enjoy this episode. Not at all, probably. Not that I'm vulgar. No. I only state the facts from well-done research. Not fake news, as you may be calling it. MAGA, if you are listening. My works cited is all available right there in the show description for everyone to fact check what I say. I have done this for every single one of my episodes for just this reason, because I believe in transparency, and I should be corrected if I state something false. With that said, I will be telling you all about the Uncensored Library, as I have previously mentioned. That is not why this is an unorthodox episode. Why this is unorthodox is because this episode was due to release on July 10th. I have now switched it out with the campfire episode that I mentioned in Tuesday's Realm News Flash number 36. The campfire and Flint and Steel episode will now release on July 10th and is replaced with today's episode, The Uncensored Library. I apologize to those who are anticipating the campfire and Flint and Steel, but I felt this necessary. Allow me to explain. I did this in response to Donald Trump's decision to send thousands of troops to occupy Los Angeles, California, in response to peaceful protests that are taking place as a reaction to Trump's ICE agents abducting people off the streets illegally. These ICE agents have been wearing masks and shrouding their faces as a scare tactic and as a tactic for anonymity, for blending in order to nab their victims. These agents of the Trump regime are actively breaking laws and the Constitution by sending their victims without due process to an El Salvadorian gulag with the acronym CCOT. You may all be aware of these atrocities already, but I say this because the Minecraft Uncensored Library, as you will all soon find out, was built to combat those who seek to destroy freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is something that dictators, tyrants, autocrats, oligarchs, and the Trump regime fear and hate. Freedom of speech brings down these corrupt institutions, and that is the major reason why I made this episode. I want to help spread the word of the Uncensored Library and bring light to this amazing structure that was built by amazing organizations that curate this out of sheer altruism. I want word of this amazing digital structure of freedom to be known around the world so even those in the most remote and oppressed places know where to access freedom. Today, you will learn exactly all about the amazing groups who built this library, their reasoning, some fun facts, and so much more. I bring you this rescheduled episode to bring light to the oppression that is actively going on in my country, the United States of America. Realm News, if you have not gathered by now, is against the Trump regime. It is my hope that this episode is somewhat enlightening, and more so, I hope that it is inspiring and motivating. I do not like to discuss politics, especially on Realm News. It is not my intention to bring such distressing topics to a fun topic show where we discuss Minecraft. But I'm an artist, a writer, an author, and a journalist. And what is going on in my country is not only going to affect our personal rights here in the United States and my liberties and my fellow country people's liberties, but it will affect the entire planet in one way, in a negative way. Trump wants to take away our freedom of speech and control the information that we receive. That may sound like an exaggeration, but it is not. I felt it my duty to shed light on this, and I felt it appropriate to release it before Trump's birthday, which is taking place on June 14th, where he has ordered the military to put on parade in his honor. This echoes Stalin and reflects dictators such as North Korea's Kim Jong-un or Russia's notorious autocrat Vladimir Putin. Trump is no different than these dictators stated, nor all the others in past history and present. I'll let you come to your own conclusions. I also presented this just in opposition to troops, Marines, National Guard being sent in to California, Los Angeles, downtown against peaceful protesters. That's absurd. Realm News is highly against this. With that said, I hope you all enjoy this episode. Without freedom of thought, there could be no such thing as wisdom, and no such thing as public liberty without freedom of speech. Benjamin Franklin, July 9th, 1722. Hello, my friends, and welcome to a Realm News bonus episode with yours truly, the Dark Lord. The one who puts the real in Realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I have been wanting to make an episode over the Minecraft Uncensored Library since I learned about it. Yes, you heard that right. Uncensored Library. This was specifically built in Minecraft's digital space for journalists who live in countries with censored press or in places without freedom of speech. I believe it's remarkable that the Uncensored Library was built because Realm News is entirely opposed to censored information, dictatorships, regimes, and all other authoritarian forms that hold a tight grip on many societies worldwide. This will be an extremely interesting episode with many insights into the Uncensored Library. This is one of those episodes where the real and realm collide with each other. So, there will not be real or realm segments, nor a poll time today. With that said, let's start the show. I cannot remember the first time that I heard about the Uncensored Library, but I remember the article well. It's found on Minecraft.net titled The Uncensored Library. It is an incredibly interesting read and sums up the project very well. It says that the Uncensored Library project began back in 2020, and the goal of the Uncensored Library is, quote, a grand digital library meant to combat censorship, and it's all accessible through Minecraft, end quote. Many countries around the world prevent their citizens from accessing specific information by censoring it. China is very well known for having the Great Wall of China, but they are also known for having the Great Firewall as well, which refers to its famous internet firewall that only allows people access to state-approved websites and media. That is just one example of a country that restricts or censors information from its people. The United States of America is following suit under the Trump regime. I will explain more on a country's censorship rating called the World Press Freedom Index later in the show. The purpose of the Uncensored Library is to provide authors a place to publish their articles freely to the world, as it should be. Freedom of speech is a fundamental human right, and I love this project so much. We need it more than ever in today's political climate. I mentioned that the museum began in 2020, but I failed to mention that it opened on March 12th of 2020, which is World Against Cyber Censorship Day. March 12th every year is. That seems like a very appropriate day to open a library that combats oppression and freedom of speech. The project was made possible by several organizations: Reporters Without Borders, BlockWorks, Media Monks, and DDB. I will be focusing on the two biggest ones out of the four listed: Reporters Sans Frontières, or Reporters Without Borders, and BlockWorks. I shall start with Reporters Sans Frontières. Reporters Sans Frontières, or Reporters Without Borders, has a very direct mission statement. Quote, act for the freedom, pluralism, and independence of journalism and defend those who embody these ideals. They adhere to these two principles. 1. Mutual respect and dialogue, non-discrimination, a collective work spirit, concern for professional and personal accomplishment, the right to alert, respect for the environment. 2. Transparency of decision-making, processes, and accounts, refusal and corruption, and conflicts of interest. They are a non-profit organization that was founded in 1985 in Montpellier, France, and is recognized by many prolific and powerful organizations such as RSF has been recognized as a public interest organization in France since 1995. It has consultative status with the United Nations, UNESCO, the Council of Europe, and the International Organization of Francophonie, otherwise known as OIF, OIF. RSF's role continues to this day in curating and updating the library by adding censored books. I consider them the active library staff who diligently organizes and maintains the integrity of the data. Now moving on to BlockWorks. BlockWorks.uk About Us page says, quote, BlockWorks is an internationally acclaimed design studio and consultancy working with Minecraft. The team was founded in early 2013 and now consists of over 30 designers, animators, artists, and developers from around the world. Our broad range of expertise allows us to maximize the huge potential of Minecraft in marketing, media, and education, end quote. According to Devin McClure's article, James Delaney interview, Minecraft BlockWorks, founder talks building, found at screenrant.com and published November 29th, 2022. BlockWorks was founded by James Delaney. He and a group of 3 other friends who loved architecture and Minecraft. They would build various structures together often, and before they knew it, they were being paid to do this for people. They were doing this as from what I gathered, and just as a leisurely activity at first, just building structures, and then somehow got noticed, and people were offering or asking them to do that for their worlds and for their videos. They started off building for people in Minecraft multiplayer servers and for YouTubers. These were companies and nonprofits who were asking them to build structures for educating, engaging, and entertaining their clients. The Uncensored Library was one of their biggest endeavors out of their portfolio. BlockWorks was the team contracted to lead the construction of the entire library. It is built in a neoclassical style inspired by ancient Roman and Greek architecture. Britannica.com elaborates by saying that neoclassical architecture is the revival of classical architecture that is seen by its large scale and simple geometric forms that often entail Roman columns and large canvas-like blank walls. It was purposely designed in this fashion to demonstrate and encourage knowledge and freedom. They wanted to give a space that was the opposite of the regime that the individual finds themselves in. The opposite of oppression, restriction, and lack of freedom. I think they did a marvelous job constructing the library, and I will have to download the map and check it out sometime. I have myself on their website checked out the library virtually, but I would like to actually just have the map to physically walk around and click on the books and read it. I didn't actually read the books, so I did tour the library, and it's really awesome. I urge you all to go look at the provided links. They did a magnificent job constructing this building. It is simply something to marvel at. According to Lisa Pete's article titled Reporters Without Borders, Uncensored Library Uses Minecraft to Provide Access to Censored Work, it took 24 builders from 16 different countries using 12.5 million blocks to build this massive structure. The library's dome is 300 meters wide, which would make it the second biggest dome in the world if it were real. It took the project a total of 7 months from beginning to end to complete, and the library itself took 3 months to construct. Essentially, BlockWorks was the construction foreman who led the crew that built this amazing structure. Also, a really cool thing I learned from this article is that all the collaborators that teamed up to build this did so pro bono. I thought that was just amazing and a fine example of altruism. Moving on. I said earlier, Reporters Sans Frontières is essentially the, quote, librarian running this library, end quote. They turn articles into Minecraft books so it can be transmitted to anyone who plays or has access to Minecraft. They chose Minecraft on purpose. Reporters Sans Frontières found a loophole by using Minecraft to house this library. According to ESRB.org, or the Entertainment Software Rating Board's article titled What Parents Need to Know About Minecraft, written by Patricia E. Vance, President, ESRB, October 30th, 2024. Quote, Minecraft has grown into one of the most recognizable video game franchises in the world, played by millions of people in every country and territory, including Antarctica and the Vatican City. And Minecraft videos have been streamed more than 1 trillion times on YouTube alone, end quote. Wow. 1 trillion streams is an unfathomable number for my tiny brain to comprehend. Realm News has a little ways to go before it hits that number. Jokes aside, though, I provided those quotes from that article because the Reporters Without Borders, or Reporters Sans Frontières, sees this popular game as a way around authoritarian governments. Since this game is played in places that do not have free speech, Minecraft is the perfect space to elude these restrictions. Today, the library houses around 300 books that are organized into 12 different wings. 2 years after its opening, it receives around at that time, I should say, sorry. It received around 50 visitors a week. I don't know where it's at currently, but in 2022, about 50 visitors a week. And RSFs gets around 3 to 4 emails weekly in regards to the library. About 30 universities have used this library in their classes as well. This shows that this project is just a massive success. Lisa Pete's article points out that the in-game chat function is always alive with people discussing the library. The Uncensored Library has stoked discussions such as Brexit, COVID, social Darwinism, the opioid crisis in the United States of America, and many more very debatable topics. This is an amazing place for people, especially young people, to communicate and discuss these topics that their governments will not allow. With that said, let me explain the layout of this library. As I mentioned, this library consists of millions of blocks, so you can only imagine how massive it is. Well, it is very well organized, as it would have to be for it to function. Let me tell you what the floor plan consists of. It has a main entrance, and then it has a whole myriad of rooms here that I'm going to list off to you. It has an Iran room, which was added in 2023. It's one of the more newer additions. And then it has an RSF, or the Reporters Sans Frontières Press Freedom Index room. It has a updated Russia room that was updated in 2023. There's a Vietnam room, a Saudi Arabia room, an RSF room, Mexico room, Egypt room, Brazil. I guess they say that was new, but it was added in 2021, so a year after the library was constructed. And then these other two that I'm about to say are considered new and were added in 2021, and those are Eritrea and Belarus. As you can tell, most of the museum space is organized into rooms that depict a certain country, which is correct. They did this on purpose. Each of these rooms has a theme in accordance to the country. For example, the Russia room has a giant kraken that is mostly underwater, but its tentacles are reaching up and out of the water towards you. The sculpture is dubbed Information Kraken. It represents how Russia is taking control of free speech and taking it to the next level under the so-called sovereign internet law. Russia wants to cut itself off entirely from the World Wide Web and just have its own inclusive state-controlled version for its citizens to use, so that way they can control all information and propaganda. And they selected these rooms based off this index I'm going to talk to you about, but they selected the countries that had the worst press freedom and made these into wings in this library. Websites in Russia under the Lugovoy law are targeted daily and removed without due process if considered an extremist website to the state. We all know how far that can go when you have the state determining what is bad and what is good. It's never a favorable outcome, and people under the Lugovoy law have been jailed just for liking a comment that the state deemed offensive. Isn't that insane? Another room that is much closer to home, or where I live in the United States, is our neighbor Mexico. The Mexico room consists of a myriad of shrines dedicated to journalists that were murdered for their reporting. Otherwise, they were killed because they were practicing the fundamental human right to practice free speech. Something that I never realized is that Mexico is one of the deadliest countries on the planet for journalists. I had no idea about that, folks. It just simply blew my mind learning that. It even surpasses Syria. The reasoning behind this is due to the fact that Mexico faces a huge problem when it comes to corruption and collusion between government officials and organized crime such as the cartels. Much of the time, it is the journalists who expose these corrupt politicians and criminals who are gunned down in cold blood. They just gun down these journalists in cold blood is what I'm trying to convey to you, that they just kill these journalists on the streets. It's really sad. These are just two of the examples of corrupt countries who deny their people the freedom of speech that I listed. Russia with their Kraken, and this pretty much a graveyard of journalists in this room for the Mexico room. It's just, I love these shrines that they made for them, and I think it's really great. It's just really depressing that these countries are like this. And I do not think it'll be too long before the Uncensored Library adds another wing that is called United States of America, honestly. Talking about these countries and mentioning their corruption leads me to something called the World Press Freedom Index. I think it is important to talk about this and to understand that there is a way to measure how free our freedom of speech is in the world, country by country. Spoiler alert, it has never been worse since the creation of this index. The World Press Freedom Index was created in 2002 by Reporters Sans Frontières and is an index that ranks 180 countries based on the level of freedom available to journalists. Reporters Sans Frontières is the group that analyzes and publishes this annual report. World leaders squirm at the thought of when it releases because it shows a snapshot of the level of freedom that each country has. I would like to list off two countries. The number one country on this list with the highest World Press Freedom Index, which is Norway, and I want to compare that with the United States of America, which is not doing well, before briefly telling you the worst three nations on the list. The scoring system is based off this. The index scores spans from 0 to 100, with higher scores indicating enhanced press freedom. Countries are categorized into 5 groups. Allow me to list them. Between the range of 85 to 100 points is considered the category good and is shown as green on the map. The second category is a range of 70 to 85 points, which is considered satisfactory or yellow on the map. The next one is 55 to 70 points, which indicates problematic, otherwise light orange on the map. Next, 40 to 55 points, which means difficult or dark orange on the map. And then the last one, the fifth category, the range of 0 to 40 points with meaning serious, very serious, very serious, and is indicated with dark red on the map. So now that we know the categories of the 5 groups here and the range of 0 to 100, obviously 100 being the best, let's start with Norway's stats. I will read off the percentage points and then proceed with how many points they are, how many points they're beating us the United States here. So Norway scored 92.31 points out of 100 on the index in 2025. Their political indicator is 96.22, which beats the United States by 33.84 points. They have an economic indicator of 87.32. That beats the United States by 31.67 points. They have a legislative indicator of 91.96. That beats the United States by 23.15 points. They have a social indicator of 90.03. That beats the United States by 27.47 points. They have a security indicator of 96.03. That beats the United States by 18 points. RNF's reason for Norway's extremely impressive Press Freedom Index score is, quote, Norway's legal framework safeguarding press freedom is robust. The media market is vibrant, featuring a strong public service broadcaster and a diversified private sector, and publishing companies maintain extensive editorial independence. End quote. They go on to say that Norwegian politicians do not disparage journalists or refer to their reporting as quote-unquote fake news. Compare that to the United States of America under the Trump regime, where we are ranked number 57. Index of 20 at the index here of in the year 2025, same year as the one I listed for Norway, we received a score of 65.487. If you were to take that to our American school system grading system, that would be a D, a solid D, close to a D plus, I suppose. But that's a D if you want to score it that way. Now, the political I'll go ahead and read off their 5 indicators for us. Sorry, not them, because I am an American. Unfortunately, I'm lumped in here. But the political indicator here is 62.38 points. Economic indicator, 55.65 points. Their legislative indicator, 68.81. Social indicator, 62.56. Security indicator, 78.03. Pathetic. The United States sits between Sierra Leone and Gambia when it comes to press freedom. That's pathetic for a country that touts itself for being the rock of democracy and the bastion of the free world. Freedom in the United States appears to be more of an illusion to make us look good than actual fact, or perhaps to control the masses with such propaganda. Just my opinions. Allow me to quote RSF.com's webpage that sums up the United States of America. Quote, after a century of gradual expansion of press rights in the United States, the country is experiencing its first significant and prolonged decline in press freedom in modern history, and Donald Trump's return to the presidency is greatly exacerbating the situation. End quote. If you look at the map, you can see how countries across the world, according to the World Press Freedom Index, have changed year by year from 2002 to 2025. And the United States on the Press Freedom Index declined and is declining each time Donald Trump has been president, or quote-unquote president. I don't know if you can really call him president. RSF goes on to explain that a huge part of America's poor ranking on this index is due to Donald Trump, who, quote, denigrated the press on a daily basis and made explicit threats to weaponize the federal government against the media, end quote. He also politicized the Federal Communications Commission, otherwise known as the FCC. He banned the Associated Press from the White House, dismantled the U.S. Agency for Global Media, threatens to deport journalists, stop funding Voice of America, and continues to threaten news media outlets, publication houses, and all other forms of media to this day, and promises to do so. The United States appears to be on a rapid decline in the ranks of world press freedom. We are currently at 57 out of 180 countries, but we are at least not number 180 yet. Let's see in 4 years. Number 180 at the least my tongue twisted there. Number 180, the least free place on planet Earth, is a spot called Eritrea. I have never heard of such a place before this research, before I did research on this. And I did go ahead and do a little research on the country, but I found out that there's nothing to report on Eritrea. It's just an oppressive place to live. It's rather sad. Above Eritrea is a country we all know, at least the United States, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the world, for being extremely oppressive, is North Korea. And above North Korea is China. Eritrea, North Korea, and China all sit respectively as the last three on the World Press Freedom Index. I hope that these few examples that I explained to you all shed some light on why the Uncensored Library in Minecraft is so important and such a great achievement. The Uncensored Library, as I have mentioned, is a spot that provides a safe and free space for journalists to provide their work. It upholds our fundamental human right for free speech, and Realm News fully supports it. I hope that this brief episode has enlightened you a little bit and helped shed knowledge on this impressive digital space, the Uncensored Library. I'll provide all the links so you can explore it for yourself and learn more about these remarkable organizations that played a pivotal role in the library's ongoing success. It's a real testament to how humans can come together and solve problems. Before I end this show, I want to end it with another quote on free speech. If freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led, like sheep to the slaughter. George Washington, March 15th, 1783. With that said, I wish you all a great rest of your day and happy crafting. The Dark Lord. Signing out. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Dark Lord's off the cuff, off the script. Just my opinion in relation to the episode I just presented you, which was over the Uncensored Library. What did you all think of that? Personally, I thought it was amazing. Just the first time I learned about it was probably 8 months ago or so, maybe 10. Not quite a year ago, I don't think, but I don't know what I was doing. I was just scrolling around the internet, I'm sure doing some research for Realm News. Maybe it was when I was doing it over paper. I think I did I do an episode over? Man, I've done so many episodes now. I was doing some research over paper, and I think maybe that connected me towards books and somehow onto the Uncensored Library, which was an article on Minecraft.net that I came upon, or that I crossed the first time, I should say. And then doing the research for this episode, I just took it a step further and obviously delved in much further depth, discovering Reporters Sans Frontières, or Reporters Without Borders in English, and BlockWorks, which is a magnificent Minecraft design studio. Just really impressive portfolio they have on their website. Anyways, I just kind of want to go back through this episode and just give you some of my thoughts on everything. When I introduced the library, right before I did that, I provided you all a quote from Benjamin Franklin. And I ended the show with a quote from George Washington. Two of these people are founding fathers in America. So I thought it was appropriate to find quotes on freedom of speech specifically from them. And since this is the United States, what more appropriate people than the founding fathers, right? And like I said in the show, we tout ourselves for being the bastion for the freedom in the world, yet we rank number 57 on the list. How despicable is that? I just think that just makes me sick. When I was reading this, and I don't want to, I know these are just my opinions, but I'm not going to delve into how much I hate Trump and his regime and all his sycophants that he has collected and absorbed and turned into a legit authoritarian regime. But I just want to go ahead and say that I am just widely impressed with the collaboration from Reporters Without Borders, BlockWorks, Media Monks, and DDB Germany, which all came together to make this massive 12.5 million block structure and took a total of 7 months to make. And they did that all pro bono, which makes it even better. And the architectural significance of it, I love. Like I said in the show, I recommend you all go check that out. The neoclassical design, which looks very Roman and Greek, you will love it. They did just a fabulous job constructing this. Whoever did the blueprints before building it did a great job with the design. The symbolism, it looks like a place that cultivates knowledge and wisdom. So it's just perfect for opposing those oppressive regimes that it was the reason of this being built. So, touche to them. It's amazing. I love how they did the different wings. I really love how they did the wings dedicated to the worst countries on the World Press Freedom Index, and that they included some artistic display of how that country oppressively rejects free speech. I like the information kraken in Russia's room, for example. I didn't do it justice. I hardly described it, but it has its tentacles. It's underneath water. The floor is supposed to be water. It looks like water. It's really cool looking, and you can see the beast underneath. And it has its tentacles coming out from the surface of the water, reaching up at you, like it's going to take away your freedom of speech, I guess. It's wild. It's really, they did a great job with it. And then it was just sad to see all the journalists in the Mexico room, the people that had been killed viciously for using freedom of speech. It's a really eye-opening room. I recommend going there, but go there when you're in the right state of mind. I should have probably put a caveat in this entire episode. It is somewhat of a political episode, and probably the most political episode I've been in Realm News, but those who really follow me and been following my social medias probably know that I oppose the Trump regime that is currently in the United States of America and what they're doing here. But we actually have it pretty easy compared to some of these countries, and our neighbor Mexico being one of the most horrific places for being a journalist on earth is just a jaw-dropping thing to learn. Honestly, I was not aware of that until I did the research. I don't know. It's just sad. I wish I had better news, but reading this further, the Press Freedom Index, when I was doing this, I didn't say in the main bulk of the show, but the year 2025 is proved to be the worst year since the RSF has created the World Press Freedom Index. So, I mean, I hate to be just dumping bad news like that, but it's good to know this in order for us to make changes. I highlighted in this episode the best country, which was Norway, who scored the highest, and then the worst, Eritrea, the lowest out of the 180s, at the bottom of the bottom, followed by North Korea and then China. So, we have our work cut out for us as humans, but I love that Minecraft was able to be that space for these agencies, these organizations to come together and construct this amazing library that gives this space for journalists in these oppressive countries to provide their work, and it can be published there in this form and fashion. That's why I wanted to make this episode so people are aware of that. I'm going to put this out for Patreon first and probably keep it as a bonus episode for a while before I release it to the public. But I will, once you hear this, this obviously is out to the public. And I hope you go check out those sites, and I hope that you all enjoyed this episode. I just think it's super awesome. Realm News fully supports endeavors such as this. Realm News is against oppressive regimes and such as the Trump regime and all the others around the world, like the three worst ones I described on the list. Let's all strive to be like like our friend Norway here. Let's all strive to be like Norway, please. Now, obviously, they're doing something right. But this is super cool. Keep up the work. I thought it was awesome that RSF is continuing to curate work for that library and to keep it relevant, up to date. They are the people that are in charge of it from what I've read. So very awesome. I'm going to keep my eyes on Reporters Sans Frontières just because I think they're a super awesome organization. And that's all I have to say, folks. That's my blathering, my opinion for this episode. I think it's awesome that this exists, and I want to see more projects like this, and not just in Minecraft, but in other avenues, other industries. I think it's just inspiring. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, your day, and I wish you all happy crafting. The Dark Lord. Signing out. Hey, Realm News fans, it's your host, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I am here to tell you that your support means everything. Spread the word by telling friends, liking, and commenting on Spotify or Good Pods. Find me on X, Blue Sky, Reddit, or via email at bio.link/realm news. For more content, join my Patreon at the Copper, Diamond, and VIP tiers for early episodes, bonus content, and newsletters. Find out more at bio.link/realm news. No pressure, though. Just keep listening, liking, and sharing. That's more than enough. Happy crafting, and see you at the next Realm News.